The Last Christmas Gift. Part 1. The Ritual. Every November, Sarah Bennett performed the same ritual. She would sit at her kitchen table with a legal pad, her laptop open to 3 different spreadsheets, and a cup of coffee that would go cold before she remembered to drink it. The spreadsheets tracked 3 things: her family's preferences, her budget allocations, and the running tally of what she'd spent over the years. The coffee always went cold because the numbers required her full attention. This year, the November ritual began on a Tuesday. Sarah was 42 years old, unmarried, and a chief financial officer of a mid-sized pharmaceutical company in Minneapolis. She earned a comfortable salary, comfortable enough that when her mother had called 6 years ago, voice trembling with shame, asking if Sarah could help with the mortgage payment just this once, Sarah had said yes without hesitation. That just this once had become a monthly wire transfer of $2,400. Sarah's legal pad already had the preliminary list. Mom and dad, mortgage, $2,400 a month, continuing. Mom, cashmere cardigan she mentioned in August, $340. Dad, new fishing gear, $890. Brandon, laptop for college plus first semester books, $2,100. Melissa, kitchen remodel contribution, $5,000. Melissa's kids, Emma, Jake, Oliver, gifts, $500 each. Christmas dinner groceries, hosting at Mom's, $800. Flights home, $640. The preliminary total sat at the bottom of the page, $18,170. Sarah stared at it. She did the math in her head. Over the past 6 years, accounting for inflation and increasing requests, she'd spent approximately $187,000 on her family, nearly $200,000. She took a sip of cold coffee and grimaced. Then she opened her email and began researching cashmere cardigans. Part 2. The background. Sarah had always been the responsible one. When her older sister, Melissa, got pregnant at 19, Sarah had been 15, already working after school at the library, already saving for college. She'd watched her parents scramble to help Melissa, watched them take out a second mortgage to put a down payment on a small house for her and Jake's father, who disappeared before the baby was born. "You understand, don't you, honey?" her mother had said, not quite meeting Sarah's eyes. "Melissa needs us, right now." Sarah had understood. She always understood. She'd understood when Melissa had 2 more children, with 2 more men who didn't stay. She'd understood when her younger brother Brandon, who was supposed to be the family's athletic star, blew out his knee senior year and needed help with community college tuition. She'd understood when her father's hardware store started failing, when the big box retailers moved in, when the stress gave him his first heart attack. Sarah had gone to state school on a full academic scholarship. She'd worked 3 jobs, graduated summa cum laude, and built a career through sheer competence and 70-hour weeks. She'd never asked her parents for anything. By the time she was 36 and finally earning real money, her family's financial situation had become precarious. The mortgage, Melissa's 3 kids, Brandon dropping out of community college, and then 2 years later deciding to try again, medical bills, car repairs, the constant grinding anxiety of people living paycheck to paycheck. Sarah had stepped in because that's what you did for family, because she could, because no one else would. The first time she paid for everyone's Christmas gifts, her mother had cried with relief. "You're an angel, Sarah. I don't know what we'd do without you." That was 6 years ago. Her mother hadn't cried since. Hadn't said thank you either, not after the first few times. Now, when Sarah arrived home for Christmas with her rental car full of perfectly wrapped gifts and her checking account lighter by several $1,000s, her mother would simply nod and say, "Oh good, you're here. Can you help Melissa with the green bean casserole?" This year, Sarah had started her list in November because Melissa had called in October. "Sarah, I need to talk to you, got something." Melissa's voice had that edge to it, the one that meant she was about to ask for money but was going to frame it as doing Sarah a favor. The kitchen is literally falling apart. The cabinets are coming off the wall. I was thinking, for Christmas, instead of getting me something I don't need, maybe you could help with a remodel? I've been getting quotes. Sarah had closed her eyes and pressed her fingers against her forehead. How much are the quotes? The cheapest one is $15,000, but that's like contractor grade stuff. If we want it to actually look nice, we're talking 25. Melissa, that's not a Christmas gift. That's a major renovation. I know. But you always spend a ton at Christmas anyway, and this would actually mean something. The kids would benefit from it. We think of you every time we use the kitchen. Sarah had heard herself say, I can give you $5,000 toward it. Oh, Melissa's disappointment had been palpable. Well, that's something. I guess I'll have to figure out the rest. The call had ended shortly after, and Sarah had sat in her silent Minneapolis apartment, looking out at the city lights, feeling the familiar hollow sensation in her chest, the one that whispered, not enough, never enough. Part 3. The Undercurrent. Thanksgiving came first, as it always did, like a dress rehearsal for the main event. Sarah flew into Milwaukee and drove the 90 minutes to Meadowbrook, the small Wisconsin town where she'd grown up. The landscape was already winter bare, all gray sky and skeletal trees. She passed the closed hardware store that still had her father's name on it, the windows now papered over with notices from the bank. Her parents' house looked shabbier each year. The siding needed replacing, the gutters sagged, but the mortgage was paid. Sarah made sure of that, and the lights were on. Sarah! Her mother, Linda, opened the door wearing an apron and a distracted smile. You're late. The turkey's almost done. I texted that my flight was delayed. I stepped inside, already feeling the old familiar contraction in her chest, the sense of taking up too much space and not enough at the same time. Did you? I didn't see it. Well, you're here now. Melissa's in the kitchen. Go say hi. Melissa stood at the counter, chopping celery with aggressive efficiency. She was 44 now, her face showing the wear of 3 kids and 2 decades of stress. She'd been pretty once. Sometimes Sarah could still see glimpses of that girl, but they were becoming rarer. Hey, Sarah said. Hey, yourself. Melissa didn't look up. Mom says you're paying for the groceries again. I always do. Must be nice, having money to throw around. Sarah felt the barb land, felt the old impulse to defend herself, to explain that she worked 60-hour weeks, that she'd earned every dollar. She swallowed it. Where are the kids? Emma's upstairs, probably on her phone. The boys are with Mom in the living room. They've been asking when Aunt Sarah is going to take them shopping this year. Sarah had started a tradition 3 years ago. The day after Thanksgiving, she'd take Melissa's kids to the mall and let them each pick out one special present, something they really wanted. Emma was 15 now and wanted expensive makeup. Jake was 12 and obsessed with video games. Oliver was 8 and still believed in magic. We can go tomorrow, Sarah said. Good, because I literally cannot afford to get them anything decent this year. Business has been shit. Melissa ran a home cleaning service that operated perpetually on the edge of collapse. Sarah opened her mouth to offer to help with the kids' gifts this year too, then closed it. She'd already allocated $1,500 for Christmas presents for them. How much more? Her father, David, appeared in the doorway. He'd aged dramatically after the second heart attack. Only 67, but he looked 80. Sarah Bear. He still used the childhood nickname, and it still made her feel 7 years old. How's the big city treating you? Good, Dad. Busy. I bet. We hardly ever hear from you. You work too hard. Sarah absorbed this without comment. She called every Sunday. She called last Sunday and listened to her father talk about his doctor's appointments for 45 minutes. Brandon arrived an hour later with his girlfriend Tiffany, who Sarah had met twice and who seemed nice enough. Brandon was 28 now, finally getting serious about finishing his degree. He hugged Sarah with genuine warmth. Brandon at least seemed to actually like her. Hey sis, thanks for helping with books this semester. You're a lifesaver. Of course, Sarah said, and meant it. Brandon was trying. That counted for something. Dinner was the usual chaos. 3 generations around a table that was slightly too small, passing dishes and talking over each other. Sarah sat at the end, between Oliver and her father, and listened to the conversation flow around her. Melissa talked about her business problems. Brandon talked about his classes. Emma complained about her school. Linda fretted about the house repairs they couldn't afford. David was mostly quiet, pushing food around his plate. No one asked Sarah about her life. No one asked about her work, her friends, what she did with her time. At one point, Linda mentioned that Sarah had gotten them the groceries again, and Melissa had said, well, she can afford it, and that had been the extent of the acknowledgement. Sarah ate her turkey and felt invisible. Later, doing dishes alone in the kitchen while everyone else watched football in the living room, she found herself thinking about the spreadsheet. The running tally. 6 years. Nearly $200,000. Had anyone ever said, thank you? Really said it? With eye contact and genuine gratitude? She couldn't remember. Part 4. The breaking point. The email arrived on December 3rd, a Wednesday evening. Sarah was at home, reviewing budget projections for Q1, her second glass of wine sitting beside her laptop. The subject line read, Family meeting notes, please read. It was from her mother. Sarah clicked it open with a sense of foreboding. Sarah, we had a family discussion after Thanksgiving, and there are some things we need to address. Melissa was very upset by some comments you made during your visit. She felt that you were judging her parenting and her financial situation. You made her feel small. Additionally, your attitude during Thanksgiving dinner was noticed by everyone. You barely spoke, you seemed annoyed to be there, and when Dad tried to make conversation, you were dismissive. We understand you're busy and stressed with work, but family comes first. We need you to understand how hurtful your behavior has been. Melissa doesn't feel comfortable with you at Christmas unless you can apologize to her directly and commit to being more present and respectful when you're here. We support her in this. This is her boundary, and we need you to respect it. We love you, but we need you to do better. Mom. Sarah read it 3 times. Then she read it a 4th time, searching for the words she must have missed, the part where this made sense. Comments about Melissa's parenting? Sarah had barely said 10 words to Melissa. She'd chopped vegetables, she'd done dishes, she'd taken the kids shopping like she always did, and Emma had picked out a $150 eyeshadow palette that Sarah had purchased without comment. Dismissive to Dad? She'd listened to him discuss his cholesterol medication for the entire drive to the grocery store. Barely spoke because no one had asked her anything, because she'd learned years ago that her job was to be useful, not interesting. Sarah closed her laptop. She picked up her wine glass and discovered it was empty. She poured another, her hands surprisingly steady. Then she opened her phone and scrolled to the family text chain, the one that was constantly pinging with requests and updates and photos of the kids. She scrolled back through November, through October. September 14th, Melissa. Sarah, can you send me that contractor's number you used? August 22nd, Linda. Sarah, call me. Need to discuss something important. The something important had been asking if Sarah could increase the monthly mortgage payment. July 3rd, Brandon. Yo, Sarah, my laptop died. Any chance you could spot me for a new one? She scrolled further. Months and months of asks, requests, demands wrapped in family obligation. She scrolled looking for something else. Anything else. How are you? Thinking of you. Congratulations on the promotion she'd gotten in March, which she'd mentioned in the group chat and which had received 0 responses. Nothing. Sarah sat in her quiet apartment, expensive wine in hand, and felt something crack inside her chest. Not break, that was too violent a word. It was subtler than that. Like ice on a lake, the moment before it gives way. A soft, almost inaudible sound that changed everything. Part 5. The silence. She didn't respond to the email. For 3 days, she simply didn't respond. She went to work. She attended meetings. She approved budgets and reviewed reports. She went to yoga. She had dinner with her friend Marcus, who worked in her building, and she didn't mention the email because speaking it aloud would make it real. On Saturday morning, her phone rang. Her mother. Sarah looked at the screen for a long moment, then declined the call. Linda left a voicemail. "Sarah, honey, I know you got my email. Please call me back. We need to sort this out before Christmas. Melissa's feelings are very hurt." Sarah deleted the voicemail. Sunday morning, another call, this time from Melissa. Sarah declined it too. The text came an hour later. "Really mature, Sarah, ignoring the whole family because you got called out on your behavior? This is exactly what we're talking about." Sarah stared at the text. Her thumbs hovered over the keyboard. She could already feel the apology forming, muscle memory from a lifetime of smoothing things over, of being the reasonable one, of understanding. She locked her phone instead. Monday evening, Brandon called. This time, Sarah answered. "Hey, Sarah. So, I've been hearing about this whole situation with Melissa and Mom." Sarah's voice was flat. "Yeah, look, I'm kind of in the middle here. I don't really know what happened at Thanksgiving. I thought everything was fine, but Mom's pretty upset that you're not responding." "Brandon, did I say anything rude to Melissa at Thanksgiving? I mean, not that I heard, but I wasn't listening to every conversation. Did I seem dismissive to Dad?" "You seemed like you always seem. Kind of quiet, I guess." "Sarah, what's going on?" Sarah closed her eyes. "They want me to apologize for things I didn't do so that I'm allowed to come to Christmas." "Oh." Brandon was quiet for a moment. That seems weird." "Yes." "But, couldn't you just apologize anyway? You know how Mom gets, and Melissa's been stressed about money and the kitchen thing." There it was, the expectation. Just smooth it over. Just keep the peace. Just keep giving. "Brandon," Sarah said carefully, "have I ever asked you for anything?" "What? I mean, no, but in the 6 years I've been helping Mom and Dad with the mortgage, helping you with school, helping Melissa, have I ever asked any of you for help, for support, for anything at all?" "That's different. You don't need help. You're doing great." "How do you know?" "What? How do you know I'm doing great? When's the last time anyone in this family asked me how I'm doing?" Brandon didn't have an answer for that. "I have to go," Sarah said. "I'll talk to you soon." She hung up before he could respond. Part 6. The Decision. Sarah spent Sunday afternoon with her legal pad and her spreadsheets again. But this time, she wasn't planning Christmas expenses. She was calculating what she could do if she stopped. The mortgage payments, $2,400 per month, $28,800 per year. Brandon's school support, roughly $4,000 per year. Christmas and birthday gifts for everyone, approximately $10,000 per year. Unexpected expenses, the emergencies that arose every few months, another $8,000 per year, conservatively. If she stopped, she'd have an extra $50,000 per year. $50,000. Sarah sat back and looked at the number. She thought about what $50,000 could mean. It could mean early retirement. It could mean a down payment on a house. It could mean traveling, which she'd always wanted to do but had told herself she didn't have time for. It could mean freedom. "I guess." "You guess, or you know." Sarah smiled slightly. "I know." Her relationship with her family was different now, tentative, careful. She talked to her father every other week, real conversations where he asked about her life and seemed to actually listen. Her mother was still hurt, still sometimes sent texts that were clearly designed to induce guilt. Sarah was learning to not respond to those. Melissa had sent one email 3 months after Christmas. It had been short. "I'm sorry. I didn't understand how much you were doing for all of us or how little we were giving back. I don't expect you to forgive me, but I wanted you to know I'm working on myself." Sarah had responded, "Thank you for saying that. I'm working on myself too." Brandon was Brandon, sweet, oblivious, but genuinely trying. He'd gotten a part-time job and was paying for his own classes now. He seemed proud of it. The kids texted her sometimes, just casual stuff. School drama from Emma, video game recommendations from Jake, pictures of Lego creations from Oliver. Sarah sent them birthday money and the occasional care package. She loved them. She just loved herself more now. Part 12. The First Christmas. When December rolled around again, Sarah's mother called. "Sarah, honey, I want to talk to you about Christmas." Sarah braced herself. "Okay." "Your father and I are hosting a small dinner. Just us. We're not asking anyone for anything, and we're not expecting anything. But if you wanted to come, we'd love to see you. No pressure, no expectations, just dinner." Sarah felt tears prick her eyes. Just dinner? Just dinner. Well, and maybe a small gift exchange, but only if you want to. And Sarah, her mother's voice cracked slightly. "I've missed you. Not the money, not the help. You. I miss my daughter." Sarah wiped her eyes. "I've missed you too, Mom." She went home for Christmas. She flew in Christmas Eve, rented a car, and drove to her parents' new condo. It was small but cozy, decorated with the same ornaments she remembered from childhood. Her father opened the door and hugged her tight. "Sarah Bear," he whispered, and she let herself be 7 years old for just a moment, safe in her father's arms. Dinner was simple. Just the three of them. They ate ham and scalloped potatoes. They talked about real things. Her father's new hobby, woodworking, her mother's book club, Sarah's recent promotion. They asked questions. They listened. After dinner, they exchanged gifts. Sarah had brought small things, a book for her father on woodworking techniques, a nice scarf for her mother. They gave her a framed photo from her childhood, her at age 8 with a gap-toothed grin, holding a trophy from the spelling bee. There was one text from Brandon that she did read. "I don't understand what just happened, but I hope you're okay." She responded, "I'm okay. Thank you for asking." The calls continued for 3 days. She didn't answer any of them. Finally, on Thursday, her mother left a voicemail that Sarah listened to while standing in her kitchen, her phone on speaker. "Sarah, I've tried to reach you for days. I don't understand what's gotten into you. We're your family. That mortgage, your father and I could lose the house. You know we're on a fixed income. I don't understand how you could do this to us." Melissa is devastated. She feels like this is all her fault. "Please, please call me back. We can work this out." There was a long pause, then, "I just don't recognize you right now." Sarah deleted the voicemail. The truth was, she didn't recognize herself either. This version of her, the one who could say no, who could set boundaries, who could walk away, felt both terrifying and exhilarating. On Friday, a text from Melissa. "You're really going to let Mom and Dad lose their house because I asked you to apologize? This is insane. You need therapy." She almost laughed. She'd been in therapy for 3 years. Her therapist, Dr. Chen, had been gently suggesting for 18 months that Sarah's relationship with her family might be unhealthy. Sarah had always defended them. She texted back, "I'm not letting them lose their house. I'm stopping enabling a situation where my financial support is taken for granted while I'm treated as though my presence is conditional on perfect behavior. Those are different things." Melissa's response, "You're being incredibly selfish." Sarah didn't respond. The 8th part was the reckoning. Linda Bennett sat at her kitchen table on a gray Tuesday morning, 2 weeks before Christmas, and looked at the stack of bills in front of her. The mortgage statement sat on top, due in 10 days. She'd called the bank. They'd been less than sympathetic. She'd made a payment plan with Sarah, they'd said. That wasn't their concern. David sat across from her, looking older than he had even a week ago. "We could sell," he said quietly. "Sell? David, we've been in this house for 37 years. This is where we raised our children." "I know, but if Sarah's really not going to help anymore..." Linda felt anger surge through her, hot and righteous. I cannot believe she's doing this after everything we did for her. We raised her, we fed her, clothed her, put a roof over her head. Linda, David's voice was tired. That's what parents are supposed to do. You're taking her side? I'm not taking anyone's side. I'm just trying to understand what happened. He rubbed his face. I've been thinking about Thanksgiving. Was she really rude to me? I don't remember that. Melissa said, I know what Melissa said, but I was there. Sarah seemed quiet, but when is she not quiet? Linda felt something uncomfortable twist in her stomach. Are you saying this is our fault? I'm saying maybe we should think about why Sarah felt like she needed to do this. At her own house across town, Melissa was having a similar conversation with herself, though she'd never admit it. She sat in her nearly falling apart kitchen, looking at the cheap cabinets, and felt a confusing mix of anger and something else. Something that might have been shame if she'd let herself examine it too closely. Her daughter Emma came downstairs, phone in hand. Mom, Aunt Sarah texted me. Melissa's head snapped up. What? What did she say? She said she loves me and she hopes I have a great Christmas, and she sent me $200 for gifts. She what? She showed her the Venmo notification. She sent it to all of us, me, Jake, and Oliver. She said she knows this is hard and it's not our fault. Melissa felt something crack in her chest. She'd told her mother that Sarah's withdrawal of support was going to hurt the kids. She'd used her children as emotional ammunition. And Sarah had, somehow, found a way to take care of them anyway, while still maintaining her boundaries. Mom, Emma said carefully, what did you guys do to Aunt Sarah? I'd spent 11 years being the person everyone needed me to be, and it had cost me everything, my time, my energy, my sense of self. This year, I was someone different, someone who understood that boundaries weren't walls, they were bridges, that protecting my peace wasn't selfishness, it was survival, that I could love people without losing myself. Outside, the snow continued to fall. Inside, I sat by my fire with my book and my coffee, and the strange, beautiful realization that I was exactly where I was supposed to be. Alone, but not lonely. Free, but not isolated. Finally, after 42 years, just myself. And that was enough. Epilogue. New Year. The text came on New Year's Eve. Heather, it's Ryan. Can we talk? I stared at it for a long time, felt the old impulse to respond immediately, to smooth things over, to make it easy for him. But I'd learned something in the past 6 weeks. I didn't have to make anything easy for anyone except myself. Maybe. Eventually. But not yet. I understand. For what it's worth, I'm sorry. You were right. We took advantage of you. We didn't see it until it was gone. Thank you for saying that. The kids talk about you constantly. They want to see you. I want to see them too. When I'm ready, we'll figure something out. But on my terms, Ryan. Not yours. Fair enough. Happy New Year. You too, sis. I set the phone down and looked at my reflection in the dark window. The woman staring back was tired, scarred, changed. But she was free. And as midnight approached, as fireworks began to light up the sky beyond my window, I raised my glass to her. To me. To every person who'd ever been told they were selfish for having boundaries, who'd been guilted for saying no, who'd been made to feel small for wanting to be themselves. The new year began. And so did I. Here's to us, I whispered. But there were other messages too. Brandon on December 24th. Merry Christmas, Sarah. I mean that. I hope wherever you are, you're having a good day. You deserve it. Emma on Christmas morning. Merry Christmas, Aunt Sarah. Thank you for the money. I miss you. And then on December 26th, a text from her father that made her sit down on the hotel bed. Sarah, your mother and I are going to sell the house. We should have done it years ago. It's too big for us, and we can't afford it. I'm sorry we let you carry that burden for so long. I'm sorry we didn't see what we were doing. I'm sorry we didn't say thank you. We took you for granted, and that was wrong. I hope someday you'll let us try to do better. I love you, Dad. Sarah read it 3 times, tears blurring her vision. She didn't respond immediately. Instead, she sat with it. She let herself feel the complicated mix of grief and relief and tentative hope. Later that day, she texted back. I love you too, Dad. Thank you for saying that. Then she added, I'm not ready to come back yet, but maybe someday. Her father responded immediately. Whenever you're ready. No pressure. Just know you're loved. Part 11, The New Normal. 6 months later, Sarah sat in her therapist's office talking about boundaries. I still feel guilty sometimes, she admitted. My parents did sell the house. They bought a small condo. They're okay, but I know it was hard for them. And you feel responsible for that, Dr. Chen said. I do, even though I know I shouldn't. They made choices. They lived beyond their means. They put the burden on me instead of making hard decisions themselves. But they're my parents, yes? Dr. Chen leaned forward slightly. Sarah, let me ask you something. Do you think your parents would have made different choices earlier if you hadn't been there to bail them out? Sarah was quiet for a long moment. Probably. And by stepping back, you allowed them to face their situation and make adult decisions about how to handle it. I guess. You guess, or you know. Sarah smiled slightly. I know. Her relationship with her family was different now. Tentative, careful. She talked to her father every other week, real conversations where he asked about her life and seemed to actually listen. Her mother was still hurt, still sometimes sent texts that were clearly designed to induce guilt. Sarah was learning to not respond to those. Melissa had sent one email 3 months after Christmas. It had been short. I'm sorry. I didn't understand how much you were doing for all of us or how little we were giving back. I don't expect you to forgive me, but I wanted you to know I'm working on myself. Sarah had responded, thank you for saying that. I'm working on myself too. Brandon was Brandon, sweet, oblivious, but genuinely trying. He'd gotten a part-time job and was paying for his own classes now. He seemed proud of it. The kids texted her sometimes, just casual stuff. School drama from Emma, video game recommendations from Jake, pictures of Lego creations from Oliver. Sarah sent them birthday money and the occasional care package. She loved them. She just loved herself more now. Part 12. The First Christmas. When December rolled around again, Sarah's mother called. Sarah, honey, I want to talk to you about Christmas. Sarah braced herself. Okay? Your father and I are hosting a small dinner. Just us. We're not asking anyone for anything, and we're not expecting anything. But if you wanted to come, we'd love to see you. No pressure, no expectations, just dinner. Sarah felt tears prick her eyes. Just dinner? Just dinner. Well, and maybe a small gift exchange, but only if you want to. And Sarah, her mother's voice cracked slightly. I've missed you. Not the money, not the help. You. I miss my daughter. Sarah wiped her eyes. I've missed you too, Mom. She went home for Christmas. She flew in Christmas Eve, rented a car, and drove to her parents' new condo. It was small but cozy, decorated with the same ornaments she remembered from childhood. Her father opened the door and hugged her tight. Sarah Bear, he whispered, and she let herself be 7 years old for just a moment, safe in her father's arms. Dinner was simple. Just the 3 of them. They ate ham and scalloped potatoes. They talked about real things. Her father's new hobby, woodworking, her mother's book club, Sarah's recent promotion. They asked questions. They listened. After dinner, they exchanged gifts. Sarah had brought small things, a book for her father on woodworking techniques, a nice scarf for her mother. They gave her a framed photo from her childhood, her at age 8 with a gap-toothed grin, holding a trophy from the spelling bee. We were always proud of you, her mother said softly. We just forgot to say it. Sarah cried then, really cried, and her mother held her. It wasn't perfect. There were awkward moments, things unsaid, old wounds that would take time to heal, but it was honest. It was real. It was enough. Epilogue. What she learned. On the flight back to Minneapolis, Sarah thought about what the last year had taught her. She'd learned that love without respect isn't really love. It's exploitation dressed up in family obligation. She'd learned that setting boundaries doesn't make you selfish, it makes you sane. She'd learned that sometimes the kindest thing you can do for people is to stop enabling them to avoid their own responsibilities. She'd learned that she didn't need to earn her place in her family through her bank account, that her presence was gift enough, that she deserved to be valued for who she was, not what she could provide. She'd learned that walking away from manipulation isn't abandonment, it's self-preservation, and that sometimes, ironically, the only way to save your relationship with people is to be willing to lose them. Most importantly, she'd learned that she mattered, that her needs, her feelings, her life were just as important as anyone else's in her family, that she didn't have to set herself on fire to keep other people warm. The plane descended through winter clouds into Minneapolis. The city lights spread out below like a promise. Sarah looked down at them and felt, for the first time in her adult life, like she was coming home to herself. Her phone buzzed. A text from Emma. "Safe travels, Aunt Sarah. Love you." Sarah smiled and typed back, "Love you too, sweetheart." Then she turned her phone face down and looked out the window, ready to land. The truth nobody wants to hear: the people who benefit most from your kindness will often be the first to resent you for withdrawing it. Not because they love you less, but because your generosity allowed them to avoid facing their own choices. And when you stop enabling that avoidance, they're forced to look in a mirror they've been avoiding for years. Your worth is not measured by how much you can give away. It's measured by how well you respect yourself when everyone else has forgotten to. Sarah's story isn't about rejecting family. It's about reclaiming yourself from people who loved what you could do for them more than who you actually were. Real love doesn't come with invoices or ultimatums. It doesn't take without giving. It doesn't demand apologies for boundaries. Real love says, "I see you. I value you. Thank you." Everything else is just people getting comfortable with your discomfort.